Welcome to another episode of Home Life Podcast, a podcast where we hear real stories of people leaving home, their struggles, their successes, and the lessons that they learn along the way. Today, I talked to Anviti. She grew up in the historic city of Jamshedpur and built a rich life across Mumbai, Singapore, and now Bangalore. She's a dynamic professional who navigated pivots from journalism studies to advertising and account management, experiencing the challenges and privileges of living in a Tata company town and thriving as an expat in Singapore. We discuss what it means to leave home, adapt to new cultures, and find your place through career shifts, friendships, and family support. By the end, you'll hear honest insights about tackling setbacks, the evolving concept of home, and actionable advice for anyone standing at the crossroads in life. Enjoy.
Hold up. When did we grow up?
And we are live. Anviti, welcome.
Thanks, Pranay.
What is your favorite fruit?
Oh, just not prepared. Oh, has to be mango.
Mango.
Has to be, yeah.
Yeah, it's, I think 90% of Indians will say, or South Asians in general will say
Unfortunately,
mango.
I'm quite a basic bitch, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but do you have a specific kind of mango that you like? Because, which one?
So it's actually, so I'm Bihari. So we always not complain, but we talk about how Biharis are very bad at marketing their own stuff. You know, historically we've been poor, so we focus on sustenance and, educating ourselves. So like makhana is from there. There's this whole bunch of like mangoes from there, which nobody knows because we don't know how to market it. So when I was in Singapore as well, a majority of my Indian friends there were all from Bombay. So they were just like, oh, Alfonso. And I was like,
Alfonso,
yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think so. So there's this species called langda, which is from our side, like UP Bihar. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah. So my dad's side of the family is from Lucknow. And I grew up in Pune, so close to Mumbai. So I've kind of dealt with this conversation throughout my life, where now I'm the basic bitch, and I'm like, oh, the Hapus, it's Hapus and Alfonso, that's like premium. And then my dad and my dad's side of the family, they're all about Langda, Daseri as well.
Yes.
So yeah. So you said you're from Bihar. What part of Bihar are you from? So just to kind of sidetrack this, I have a newfound love for Bihar because I've been to UP.
There's no need to go, unfortunately.
No.
It's not worth it.
No, because the reason I want to go is a little different. So I'm an avid history buff, ancient Indian history. I love it. And I was listening to a bunch of podcasts. I read a bunch of books, and I didn't realize that Patna was next to Patliputra, the ancient Indian city, and everything that's happened, because that was the hub of India for
Nalanda University
thousands of years. Nalanda, for thousands of years, and Bihar was kind of the hub of India for generations, right? A millennium almost. So I want to go to Bihar for obviously Litti Chokha, but also this thing for historical tourism. But so were you born and raised in Bihar, or were you just born there and raised somewhere else?
No, entirely born and raised there. So I'm from Jamshedpur, which was in Bihar. Post-partition, it became Jharkhand. So my mom jokes that, you're not originally Bihari, but you're Jharkhandi now. But born and raised there. I was there till I was 18. Everybody, I think, from Bihar and Jharkhand moves out. That's the goal. It's one of those, places where, especially Jharkhand is also a small city. So the goal is, you move out. You're prepared for that. Your family's prepared. There's no real tears, particularly, it is what it is. So I went to Manipal near Bangalore to do my undergrad, and then I went to Bombay. I got my first postgraduate degree there. I was in Xavier's. Then I worked there for 3 years, and then I did want to do higher education. I I did want to, but also I think it's a very Bihari mindset, like you have to study, you have to go to the best schools, you have to get the best job. There's no other way. So, but I was also like, enjoying my life there. I was, with my friends, I was by myself and everything. It was great. I was earning my own money for the first time. And I think I would credit my parents for that. They really gave me the push and they said, you have to, if you really want to. And I did want to, I wanted to actually leave the country. I wanted to see what
Okay.
life was like. And
Outside, yeah.
yeah, my parents said, see, there's very few ways, especially there's one way is education, one way is work, but you have to really work a certain way, wait and see if the opportunity comes, they'll transfer
Yeah.
you, all of that. And they said, and women have marriage, don't do that. I said, yeah, I don't want to do that. So they
Yeah.
really pushed me, saying, if you don't do it now, you'll keep getting more complacent. So they really pushed me to say and said, you really just do it now, it's the best time, you will not regret it. And I did. And in 2015 I moved to Singapore for my master's, and then I continued working and living there. I relocated in to mid 2024, so like 9.5 years ish.
Okay.
Late
Okay.
2024, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So yeah, it seems like your parents played a huge role in kind of shaping your education as well as your career. Were they that involved in school as well with you? Kind of
Yeah,
saying like, okay, school,
hardcore.
yeah, typical.
Classic,
Were they
classic.
classic? Okay.
So they were
Yeah.
also, I think it's I don't know if it's like a Bihar thing, but also like a Jamshedpur thing where I'm from, because it's very like, that is what you do. You study well, you get great marks, and you get to a good college. It's very like, by the time you're in 10th and 12th, you start thinking seriously. Like my brother knew he wanted to, he just knew it wasn't even pressure. He knew he wanted to do engineering. He went to
Yeah.
IIT eventually. He was so focused. And I was just, I don't know what I want to do. And they said, "Theek hai, just padhai kar lo, do something." I said,
Yeah.
yeah, obviously. But even that something is tied to like, great academics, getting into a good college, getting a good degree, getting great marks. It is a mindset. I would not go so far as to say the city. I don't know if that is if that's just I was surrounded by those people. Maybe I was in a bubble, but definitely it's a
Yeah.
very family thing. It's a very like Khandan thing.
Yeah.
It was all you did.
Jamshedpur. Yeah. Jamshedpur is Tata Nagar, no?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Does your parents work
Yep.
Tatas? Okay.
In Tata Steel, they
figured.
did. Yeah, they're retired now. Yeah.
I figured. My family is Tata family. My grandfather,
Oh.
my mother, my father. My grandfather, I think at some point he was in Jamshedpur.
Oh wow.
Yeah, back in like 50s, 60s. So yeah, I heard Jamshedpur and I was like, कोई तो इसके खानदान में टाटास में काम करता होगा.
सभी थे, कौन नहीं था.
काम नहीं था.
My dad
So,
was there for like close to
yeah.
40 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
His career
So
Tata man.
did that drive your brother to want to also kind of go that route? Because you said engineering, so I'm assuming,
Yeah.
because Tata's is right there.
And no, I think he also wanted to, everyone, my parents also wanted us to get out. It's the mindset. You have to get out. You have to, get
Really?
better.
Okay.
So like our parents worked hard to make sure they were financially very, very stable. They gave us a good life.
Yeah.
And then we were like, okay, we have to do one better. So one better can be moving out. One better can be going to a bigger city, etc. But that
Sure.
is that is like the unspoken thing. Like it's what you're
Okay.
working towards.
Wow. Okay. How is Jamshedpur? I've never been. I've heard so much, obviously, growing up. But like growing up in Jamshedpur, how was that?
I think it was like any Indian small city. It's very clean. That is the good thing. It's very clean. We have great schooling, I would say. But it was very standard stuff, very standard middle class, regular city. You go to school, you go to tuition, you hang out with your friends. Back then, there wasn't much to do. Now there's a lot more, obviously. So we used to either hang out at, you have those family clubs. So we used to either hang out there, hang out at friends' places. We used to cycle a lot. We used to. I played basketball till the state level. So you took up some sport, you took up some hobby. So it was a good life. It was very comfortable. I have to say. I don't recall feeling the want for anything. I don't recall feeling like shit. I wish I was in a big. I think I felt those feelings later when I grew up.
Yeah.
I was very, very, very. I was chilling. I had a good time.
Yeah. I like how you casually just mentioned, basketball till the state level, no big deal. What were you into, like you said, studies was clearly quite an important thing in your family. Were there other activities as well that they kind of focused on, a lot of people,
Hmm.
a lot of kids, one way of kind of getting out and maybe getting exposures through sports. You said state level. That's not a small thing. That's pretty big. Was that something that you just picked up? So you're like, I like basketball. I'm just going to keep playing till whatever level I naturally get to. Or was that also something that your parents were like, पढ़ाई तो ठीक है, but you need to be like a well-rounded individual?
I think my parents tried a lot when we were younger to get us a different hobbies. So they put us in like arts class, they put us here, they put us there,
Yeah.
just trying to see what sticks. So I think they did a good job. So like we eventually had a drawing and painting teacher come home and teach my brother and me. And he was miles better. We still have his paintings when he was, like 10, 11 years old, framed in the house. He was that good.
Oh,
And
wow.
otherwise, we both took up swimming. We went swimming regularly in the clubs. Every summer it was a
Yeah.
thing. We went swimming. Our mom dropped us. She picked us up and everything. That was there. I think for me, I took to basketball when I was in the 3rd standard. I remember not
Okay.
making the team for a 9-year-old, for an 8-year-old. And my parents went and had to speak to the teacher saying, no, please take her. She's crying at home. Please give her a chance. So I got in. But I think
Yeah.
I can't recall if it was like love for a sport, if it was just like, I don't know if I was being a brat, like, oh shit, why didn't I get through? Or if it was more like, oh, I want to see where, I can't remember, to be honest. I was a
I
kid.
know, it's so
So it
long
wasn't
ago.
that
Yeah.
serious. Yeah. But I think as I went along, I got better. So we started playing against schools and I took a real liking for that. And yeah, it developed and my parents were happy, but there was a trade-off. Like I represented the state when I was in the 11th and we had a deal that, listen, your studies are suffering a bit, your grades are getting lesser. So you represent the state, this is great. Uske baad you have to stop, your boards are coming. I said, yeah, I don't mind it. So I
Yeah.
feel like maybe, I don't think I was serious about it. There wasn't any potential in sports per se in India back then.
Yeah.
So we never tried to talk about, I am confident my parents would have been supportive, but it didn't come up in their minds or in mine that, oh, let me see where this goes. I was like, हाँ ठीक है, sure, this is great for me. This is a great certificate and achievement to have. Jana to college ही है. And
Yeah.
my brother he's the classic, पढ़ाई पे ध्यान दो, get good marks. He was so good. It was like, always
Scary.
like high achiever, scary, 95 plus. So he
Oh,
focused there. I was figuring my side. And our parents let us both be कि जिसको जो अच्छा लगे, you do you sort of
Yeah.
things. That was good, I guess.
That's rare. That is rare for parents to be that chill. I think in families with 2 kids, it usually that's how it goes. Is like
Yeah.
one kid is not specifically this, padhai and not that. I don't want to say not that interested. You were interested, of course, but like, but like not to that level. But I see that like I have a younger sister, and same thing. We're so different. We both love arts, but she made a career out of it. Where I
Oh,
got to
wow.
a point, and I was like, भाई मुझे physics भी पसंद है, मुझे maths भी पसंद है, मुझे engineering पसंद है. And so I kind of went that route, and then
Right.
she just, she stuck with it. She was like, yeah, engineering, I've seen what he does. That is not for me. I'm going to figure something out myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really a privilege to have parents who are kind of like just,
Absolutely, yeah. I think we
chill.
got very lucky.
Yeah, totally. Did Jamshedpur feel a little... I always had this question with any place which has such a big influence of one company. Did it feel a little cultish? Because
Short
there
answer is
probably
yes.
a lot of employees probably all live there, all your friends. Or am I thinking of this the wrong way?
No, you're not. I think there was it felt cultish. I did live in a bit of a bubble. So, for example, we lived in the housing. They fantastic. Like, they'll give you like giant big houses with like lawns and everything. So it was definitely a privileged life as well. So that bubble was there. So anyone we knew from Tata, lived in similar accommodation and everything. And also the people who worked there, like my dad and all his colleagues and everyone, they also came from these backgrounds of, very high achieving engineer sort of people. So there was pressure on all of us to make them proud or whatever, right? Do the same thing. So that bubble was there. Having said that, I also made a lot of my best friends from there still, and her parents were into academia, so they taught at XLRI and everything.
Okay.
So so the good thing was there was a mix of both, but there I think it can get cultish if one tries, or if you're pushed that way, right? Like if you're like, no, you
Yeah.
have to make, if someone said you have to make friends with a certain kind, you have to only hang out here. So for example,
Yeah.
at those family clubs I went to, everybody was not a member, like not for lack of funds or anything, they just weren't.
Right.
We were
Yeah.
given it, like Tata people were given it as a sort of a privilege and all that. So that didn't mean we didn't hang out with them. So I think it could get cultish, it could get gossipy. I'm aware that was there, but I think we were made to do a decent job of staying sort of
Grounded.
grounded and everything. Yeah. There were also, aside from us, there's a lot of businesses there supporting
Mm.
Tata or just doing their own thing. So there was a lot of rich people. So my parents were like, no, you can't mingle with rich kids. Not like they're very little, you'll start coming back home and saying, why don't we
Yeah.
have that? This one of them had like a pool in their house and everything.
Wow.
Yeah, so we were, I think, again driven by family to find a balance, and they were like, yeah, make friends with whoever. But I think they also grew up middle class, right? So they were very aware of these things, that
Yeah.
it's like, we're financing you, you have to finance yourself someday, that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, the short answer is yes, it can get cultish. The long answer is I think it depends on how you were raised, whether you fell in the cult or not.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, the reason I asked that is because, there are a couple of places in the US where there's a whole city, which is almost owned by one company. And, it's like you're part, like the Apple ecosystem, you're part of the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah.
Everything you go and buy has to somehow be tied to it. And these places, the restaurants, okay, you're from this company, you're going to get discounts, and you're hanging out in the same circles, and
No,
that
it wasn't
can.
that bad.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
not
okay.
that bad for us.
Not
No.
a. It's okay. Is this
No,
is this a Netflix show worthy?
No. Like,
The
where everyone knows
Jethani's
their
of
name and one
Jamshedpur.
person. Yeah. Or like, one of those like Harlan Coben shows where it's that the small
Yeah.
community town, one person dies and there's
Yes.
ripple effects everywhere. No, it wasn't that.
Oh, see, that's a
We
potential
missed out on that
potential
excitement.
TV
Yeah.
show. I know.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you said you went to Manipal. I was just talking to someone yesterday who also went to Manipal from Hyderabad, though, and he was telling me some stories of Manipal that are quite crazy. When you, first of all, how did you move to Manipal? What was the thought process behind, out of all the places you could go into Manipal?
So I didn't take up science when I hit like post 10th standard.
Yeah.
And I was very clear to my parents saying, it's not for me. I can't do it. They asked once or twice, they were like, oh, is it like too hard, or is it like too much? What is it? I said, I'm just not. Like, the way you're very,
Yeah.
you sound very passionate about like physics and maths. That is the entirety of my family, my parents, my brother. I said, it's not for me. And they said, yeah, okay, do what you want. So I took up commerce, but even in commerce, I wasn't really keen on doing like a BCom or something. I said, that's also not for me. So my
Okay.
parents were just like, okay, what do you want to do? I said, I don't know. So I started looking up degrees which are not particularly arts, but not this. So I actually did a bunch of things. I remember I gave the entrance exam for law. And I was like, while I was waiting, I said, do I want to do law? And I said, I'm not sure. Then eventually, so idhar udhar karte bounced around a lot of entrance exams. And I figured maybe I want to try journalism. So I actually gave the entrance exam for that in a bunch of colleges. I got through the degree at Manipal. That's how I ended up there.
Oh, okay. Nice. Yeah, again, we have that mindset in India, right? Like science pehle, then commerce,
Then arts.
then arts, or agar kuch nahi hua, to I think arts is like the lowest. Beyond that is like
Yeah.
satyanash ho
Kuch
gaya
bhi nahi
zindagi
hai,
ka.
हाँ. Even in Manipal, there, I'm not sure if it's still there. There used to be a hierarchy. Medical looked down on engineering. Engineering looked down on everybody else. So we were bottom
Really?
feed anyway. Yeah, we were bottom feed. And unless they were looking to date someone, then everything's fair game. Otherwise, they were
I
like,
mean,
oh, what do you do? Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's the thing with engineering. I thought this was only an India problem because so I did a year and a half of college in India. So I did my 12th ke baad, between finishing 12th and coming here, we were kind of figuring things out, and so I was like, ठीक है, college ही join कर लेता हूँ. बहुत गंदे marks हैं मेरे सारे entrance exams में. My dad was like, ये मेरा बेटा JEE करेगा, कुछ नहीं हुआ उसका. So I somehow got into college in Pune, and in I went to my engineering class. It was like 99% boys, 1%
Of course.
girls.
Yes.
And I was like, ठीक है, that's just maybe interests or whatever. ठीक है, whatever. I came here, exact same thing. The same.
Oh.
Yeah. Mechanical engineering. I'm talking about mechanical engineering. 90% guys, 10% girls. And then obviously as you go into electrical computers and things like that, it kind of evens out a
Ratio
little bit.
But gets better, yeah.
Gets better, yeah. But yeah, when you're talking about like law, commerce, journalism, it definitely is way better. Yeah, in that sense. So yeah, that's weird that there's still a hierarchy. I don't know if you said at that time there was,
Yeah.
but I'm sure probably does exist. I don't know if anyone's
Probably
watching
still is,
from
yeah,
Manipal.
yeah.
Let us know. How was that when you first landed in Manipal University? How was that first week for you?
I mean, not bad. Like, I think my
Chill.
dad says one thing. I think he's right. He says you're very adaptable. Like anything you're put into, you will adapt. And if you can't adapt, you will pull yourself out of that situation that this is not for me. He said, yeah, we don't have to worry so much about you. Like, oh, will she be okay? He said, you'll find a way. And if you can't find a way, you'll say, yeah, okay, I'm leaving. And that's good. So that's what I can't remember exactly feeling, like lost or confused, or I was very excited to be like, yeah, finally college. I was very, very excited. My family came to drop me off. They helped me get settled in the hostel and everything. I think definitely I was like sad for a day or two after they left. Then I was like, yeah, okay, this is fun. This is a hostel
fine.
life. My friends are here. This is so cool.
You said you were excited. Were you, because again, born and raised in one place, didn't really move around much. What were your expectations going, living that hostel life, going to Manipal? What were those expectations, and did they come true, or were there certain things that you expected that, hostel life aisa hoga ya college life aisa hoga, where I'm going to do all of these things, and well, in reality, that's not really what happens.
So I went in with a bit of like, Archie's comics sort of expectation that, it'll be so cool, friends hanging out. That did happen. I think you're younger to me, so you may not know this show. There used to be this TV serial called Star One. And they used to have the show, I'm completely forgetting the name, but it used to be a show about hostel kids, but in school. So, and it was like, I think when I was in 9th and 10th, everybody was watching it and everything. It was very cool. So I thought, yeah, wow, this is going to be that. It was and was not a lot of that, because not unfortunately, but I mean, true to my roots, I went back to like, classes kab hai, padhai kya hai, marks kya aa rahe, and everything. But I also did a lot of other stuff, so it was exciting. I made some very good friends. We traveled a lot. There were beaches nearby, so we took advantage of that.
Oh, wow.
There also their hostel system. So it's a very, very small place, very small, like do road mein khatam. That sort of, maybe it's grown now.
Okay.
So, and their hostel is also, it's like a straight, it's very clean, it's very neat. Everything's provided for us. It's like one straight line. Girls is this side, boys is this side. Beach where there is a giant gate, which shuts only at least back then, it shut at like 8 p.m. So you are genuinely free to mingle. Nobody gives a shit. And I think that was refreshing, because what I heard from my cousins and everybody else was doing, like the girls who were doing engineering, they had it worse. And we had also grown up seeing in the news or things like, curfew laga diya gaya. We did have a curfew, but it wasn't so bad. And, of course, you fake things sometimes. You lie to your wardens, all of that. It was not so bad.
Yeah. Did you ever have to jump a gate?
No, I didn't, thankfully.
Okay.
But I did have to, like, sort of sneak in, like, 10 logon ke piche sort of thing. And
We
were seniors. I was still younger, all of that. So all that we did, it was, in hindsight, it was a good time. But I think right then, I was also, if I remember correctly, I was enjoying the cool life. Like, it's only kids. There's no parents. It's all of, young people. I was enjoying that. But I think I was also looking for like a big city life. I remember because I'd come from. It's not like Jamshedpur is like there's nothing. It is a very good city. It's very clean, very nice, and everything. But I still was like, oh, I have to get to a big city. So I remember my one thought, which in hindsight was innocent, but now it was like, what was that thought? Was like, oh, there are no malls here. I don't know why I was very enamored by that. Because the closest big city for us is Calcutta, now Kolkata. So we used to go there sometimes, for time pass or kuch ho raha hai wahan pe, kisi ka kuch ho raha hai to jao. And I was very much like, yeah, so cool. They have malls because we didn't have malls, but we had everything in like a standalone, like a one, 2 rows. Right? It was nice of me.
Yeah.
But I had that thing. I remember thinking, oh, it's not that. I don't know why that really stuck in my head. And now after all those years, I'm like, kya tha ye yaar?
Yeah.
What is that thinking? But it's okay. I was 18. I have to forgive myself.
It's a natural thought, yeah. I mean, I remember I grew up in Pune, right? So Pune did have malls, but I went to visit my family in Gurugram. This is 2008, 9. And all I remember from that trip is just looking at the giant malls.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is, ye hota hai bada shahar. Like, that's the signifier of a big city.
Yes.
Malls. Now it's like, malls, you go, you're like, mall jana hai yaar, theek hai, chalo.
Right. It's a
mall
chore.
jate. It's a chore, yeah. Like, kapde kharidne hai, kapde, theek hai, whatever. But yeah, no, I completely understand. So you were expecting a big, or not expecting, but you
No, I was
wanted.
not. I knew it was small. Yeah, I wanted, but I was like, take it, next after this.
After this,
Done,
yeah. How was your journalism degree? Was it, did you have fun? Was it successful? Did you do well in that? Were there challenges in that? How did it go?
It was successful in the way that I did very well. I got good grades. It was unsuccessful in that I'm not a journalist today. But
Okay.
But I'm just a regular corporate slave. I'm in sales and account marketing. That's what I do now. But also I don't particularly regret that because I figured that I was sort of figuring things out, and I was left alone to be like, yeah, okay, you whatever, just do something, just figure out what you want to do.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. But yeah, the degree was good. It was I did learn a lot. Like I did learn a lot about just the very basics of journalism, how you approach something.
Sure.
There was this, there were a lot of concepts that go behind the making of, print and different kinds of print, TV, internet, everything. So we did get a very, very deep dive into that. That was actually quite good. And because, I was there from 2008 to 11. So that was a time when radio existed too. So we also got a bit of like radio journalism, which is dead now, but how to do that as well.
Yeah.
So it was actually quite cool. It was actually a lot of like the learning was solid, I have to say.
Yeah. I feel like that's typically what happens with most people, right? You try, especially like the thing with engineering is like it is such a well-trodden path that there's an A, B, C, D, E, and then you're in a job. With certain degrees, it's a little more abstract. Because once you get the degree, you go out there, and then it's kind of sort of up in the air. It depends on where you are location wise. It also depends on what opportunities come to you. It also depends on, like, I think this gets underrated quite a bit, is connections, family connections, friends connections in certain industries. Here, the one thing I really like about the college system here is, if you don't know what you want to do, you can be undecided for 2 years.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, it's and so many of my friends have done this. They came in and I used to ask them what your degree was, and they were like, I don't know, undecided. That's an official title, undecided.
Amazing.
And in my mindset that had come from India, I was like, how do you know? And I used to go to my parents and I was like, usko pata hi nahi hai kya karna hai, kitna undecided, mujhe dekho, I knew exactly. But like now that I think of it, like I wonder if I would go down that path of like just trying out taking different classes, seeing what I like.
Yeah.
And then you still have time to, get the degree after that, and in something that you actually like. But yeah, kudos to you for finding something, taking the plunge, and actually sticking through it for 4 years. 4 years, was it? Or 3 years? Okay, yeah, Manipal,
Yeah.
3 years.
Our
I
students don't
heard,
get
yeah,
that.
it's condensed, right? It's a very condensed degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's condensed, and we were asked to specialize in our last semester, and the specialization was by subject. So I chose advertising, but you're
Okay.
also asked to try and figure out that, okay, we've given you like a foundation for 2.5 years. What do you think you are now moving towards? So it could be journalism related, which is why they also gave us the option of, advertising, marketing, and everything. So they
Sure.
did give us a solid thing. So I took advertising,
Sure.
then I got my next degree, and then I actually worked in advertising. So that actually helped. I did
Oh.
not know this was a thing, and I learned, and I said, oh, I think I want to see what this is like. So I went there.
Oh, nice. Nice. Before we leave Manipal, coming from Jamshedpur to south, the most stereotypical, north to south, there are typical cultural
Right.
differences. You seem, as your dad put it, you're very adaptable. Did you face anything, or was it pretty chill? You had friends from all over the place, kind of just a relaxed college life.
Yeah, I think friends from all over the place for sure. Like my closest friend from there, who's still a friend, is from Bangalore, where I'm based now. So
Sure.
I think it was that. However, it's something I think about a lot because now that I'm in Bangalore for good, I do notice that some stereotypes are unfortunately true. For example, some people do have a hard time adapting language capabilities. And I think there's something I learned from Singapore, which is a great learning, is that it is okay if English is not your first language. It's nothing to
Mm,
be ashamed of or be made fun
yeah.
of or anything. And it took me meeting white people to learn that, like French people, Spanish people who are friends and colleagues,
Yeah.
being very confident, and in fact like telling people back like, okay, what's the joke, why are you laughing, it's not my first language. So
Yeah.
it took me that to learn. But yeah, looking back, I think now I see that some people have a hard time. I also see some people who are North Indians, they're not respectful. So it's
Mm,
both ways. And I think back that yes, I was adaptable. I don't recall ever feeling that somebody was racist towards me. I don't recall any of that. But I also don't recall if I was racist. So I do think about that a lot. Did I adapt
mm,
because I got my way through? Did I adapt because I had this sense in my head that, someone will. I think I do remember we took the trouble to learn like 5-6 basic Kannada words, right? To get by or something.
okay.
Like,
Okay.
to work with auto guys, to work with if we had to buy food somewhere, a bottle of water somewhere. But everybody, because it was already cosmopolitan, a lot of people, had come and gone before me who were not from there. Everybody
Yeah.
spoke Hindi. So I cannot say for a fact if it was because that was normal, because
Mm,
maybe I was not refined very much. I can't say for a fact, but I do remember not having a hard time. I don't remember any instance of racism. Again, I also cannot remember if it was because I was so young and, I think I took cognizance of these things later in life, like when I moved to Bombay, when I moved to Singapore. Maybe
yeah.
back then I was in such a la land in my head. I was like, yeah, everything's great. So I can't say for a fact, to be honest.
Yeah. No, that's a fair point because yeah, even when I came here, I that wasn't even something that was on my mind, that if I'm going to a place, they will look at me differently. I was just
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
I'm just in the US. I'm gonna try to make the most of it. It's only
yeah,
when it's almost like a second enlightenment that happens towards the end of your college. When you actually
yeah,
grow up,
yeah, yeah.
and that's when you start taking stock of your surroundings and kind of really understanding some of the more. I think you just become more cynical, and then you start
Yeah,
looking at the
yeah.
world a little more
It's
cynically.
age as well. Yeah.
Age, yes, yes, definitely. Um, from Manipal, you said you moved to
Mumbai.
Bangalore? Oh, Mumbai. Okay,
Mumbai.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. And was that through your advertisement path
Yes,
that
yes.
got you to
Yeah,
Mumbai?
yeah, yeah. So I wanted to. So I did actually. I applied for a postgrad program in Xavier's in Mumbai, and there's
Okay.
this really really reputed college called Asian College of Journalism. It's in Chennai. So I got
Yeah.
through both, and I had to choose not just a path in life because this would decide my career. And I think journalism was a little scary because it was so final. Because if you get that degree,
Mm,
that's all you do. So I wasn't sure if my heart is fully into it. Plus, unfortunately, a bigger deciding factor was like it's in Chennai. Mumbai is a bigger city. Plus, this was not even main Chennai. It was like, like in the back of beyond of Chennai, that sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
So it was really far away. So in my head, I was like, no, I wanted to go to a big city. Let me be guided by that. Xavier's is a great college. So that was my guiding star. And I went, I don't regret any of these decisions. I'm happy with what I did. And I started working in advertising. Yeah, I was there for about total of 3-4 years, I think.
Okay. It's a good enough time. What was your perception of Mumbai? This is closer to home for me. You finally did get your big city experience, seems like.
Yes.
Kaisa tha wo, Mumbai?
10 on 10. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Amazing people. I wouldn't go so far as to say, safest place in the country, but very safe being a woman there. Very safe, lovely people, friendly people, made some great friends, met good people, worked on some great stuff as well. So overall, absolutely 10 on 10 experience, 100%.
Is it, for a lot of people coming from Delhi and regions around Delhi, Mumbai definitely feels like one step safer. From Jamshedpur, how is it, especially for a woman coming to Mumbai? Because you said Jamshedpur, in that sense, it's a more or less safe place, right?
Very safe. Plus, you have to remember, I was a kid. So, like, my parents had their cars. They both drove. So anywhere I had to go, I was driven. I was brought back home.
Yeah.
Even if we went out very late, so it was with family because I was at that age, right? I left right when I turned 18, so I didn't really have the whole let me go somewhere sort of thing. So it was all that happened in Manipal and in Mumbai for sure. So it was not so much a thing of, I couldn't do it there. It was more like now is the age, now is the time to do all of this.
Right. Yeah. So my bua and my fufaji both are in advertisement in Mumbai. They've been there since the 90s. And they have, my bua was in advertisement, I should say, but my fufaji still is. And they've told me some stories of their time, especially advertisement during the 90s was like the Wild West. I've heard some stories, but also even now, like Bombay advertisement, it's, I don't know, there's like this romantic quality to when from looking at it from outside looking in. There's this romanticism, a certain level of romanticism that is associated with it because, you're working with these big clients. There are, deliverables to meet. You have these huge campaigns and, you're working hard and you're partying hard. Was that kind of, and this is genuinely out of curiosity, was that also a similar experience that you had in those 4 or 5 years that you're in Mumbai?
I would say maybe to varying degrees for each of those parameters. But I remember even my brother asked me once, was it like Mad Men? I think sort of because, because
show.
because on the creative side, you do have to sort of, see what sticks. And also it's but there was also a lot of, it was great to get into an industry and learn how it works because it's not, like, of course there's, everyone, is very chill and, they have a fun time being in the creative side, but it's not always like very easy, especially, half the ads that you see, they are not like 1% are creative ads. The rest are, tried and tested stuff. So the creativity aspect is not so much. So I was a planner. Planners basically, they do research. So like if a client comes to you and says, I want this, or this is my goal. So it is a planner's job to do the research behind it and say, okay, this is their problem. This is what the consumer is like. Where do they meet? What is the insight? And what do we want to pick up and give to the creative side to flesh it out further and make the actual creative thing. Okay. So I was in the research side. So I think I actually enjoyed more speaking with the business side. So like my clients were all P&G. So I did, Ariel and Pampers and Head and Shoulders and all. Sure. So I would say that part was actually very exciting. Of course, the workplace and everything was very cool. The deliverables, all of that, very, very thing. Like, aaj chahiye, abhi kal chahiye tha, that sort of thing. It's always that. And somebody's calling you on a Saturday saying, yeah. And also I got into I started getting into social media marketing as well because it was starting then.
Yeah.
So, I messed up on, you have your learning curve. So I messed up somewhere. A post for Garnier went on a post for BBC or something like that. So you had to fix. So somebody's calling and saying, Anviti, what have you done? And so you had to do that. So it's very fast paced for sure. But I
Yeah.
would say I think I was more excited about learning the business side. Like, for example, a very good lesson which I didn't appreciate or understand then, I do understand now,
Yeah.
being a business side person, is like Head and Shoulders. If you recall their ads, it's very regular stuff like "Bebo kya ye
Sure.
dandruff hai,"
Yeah.
and we were like, "Ye kya hai? You can do better. What is this?" and everything. So the team I worked with was also my age, so they were also very utopian, and they were like, "No, we can do better. We can be the zenith
Yeah.
of creativity and everything." And the guy who was on that side at the Procter and Gamble office, manning Head and Shoulders, he just said no. He said, "What is working is working. Koi zarurat nahi hai." What's that phrase? No need to fix what's not broken.
Yeah.
So we didn't understand, and we were like, "No, but do you not want to put better work against your name?" And he said, "No, my money is coming. What is your problem?" And so we were really upset then, but then now I appreciate. So I think I enjoyed learning those lessons more. I enjoyed learning the business side lessons, and I also enjoyed learning that this is not for me, unfortunately. So also by the
Really?
time my
Okay.
parents started saying that, they start asking me, or you've been wanting to leave the country, what do you think, etc., etc. So it used to be. I'm hoping it's improved. A lot of my friends are still there, so there must be something in it. So it can be very siloed. So like creative people hate planners hate account management. Everybody hates everybody. They're all friends at the end of the day, but at work
Yeah.
you're like, that person's not doing their job, you are not doing your job. That sort of, there's miscommunication. And also it's very like, what is the correct word for it? It's very self-aggrandizing, I think, because it's very like, we did something. I think it's nice to be rewarded for the work you do in the Lions and the Effie's and everything. That's great. But I think a lot of the people I worked with, I'm hoping it's a small percentage and is not reflected. They were just so happy. They were so, I think, pompous about it. Like, like you made an ad for a razor and you were like, it's the coolest thing we've done. Nobody's done work like this. So I think I got very put off by all of that. And I also then, my parents started speaking. I was like, yeah, maybe like it's good work. It's cool, but I'm not really enjoying it. These are not my values, for lack of a better term, right? Like I don't see myself, I don't think I'll stand here long term if this is what I continue doing. I don't think I want to do this. I want to be here, like, patting my back for something so basic. Like I think
Yeah.
as a young person, I still had morals. Or
Yeah.
not morals. Morals is the wrong word because there's no morals in capitalism. But I think I still had like, I want to do cool stuff, but I want to do it well. Like, I want to do
Yeah.
what's right. That sort of nonsense was in my head.
Yeah. You say that sort of nonsense was in your head. Was that kind of a pivotal moment that shifted your mindset to being like, the whole don't break, don't. Now I've forgotten that phrase.
Don't fix what's not broken.
Fix what's not broken.
Not
yes.
broke.
Don't fix what's not broken. I completely forgot that phrase.
I did too.
That is how 90% of the world works.
Yes.
That mindset. But when you don't know much about the world, any industry, I feel like you come into it saying like, I want to do the best thing, and then the system beats you down to the point where you're like, okay, let's do the bare minimum and get out.
Coast through.
Yeah. Was kind of this moment in your life, that learning period, where you had these big expectations from the ad industry and what work you're going to do versus what actual work you did?
I think it was pivotal in learning not the ad industry, but what work is like, what work life is like. And I think another pivotal moment was also when I finally moved to Singapore. So I moved on my own money. I took an education loan out for it and everything. And I realized that I was really happy there, but I was also really young. So I said, I have to put on my big girl shoes now. And if I am an aspirational person, if I have been like, okay, I want to move to a bigger city, a different country, everything, I have to embrace where the money is. And now my take is, after all these years, I have no passion for any sort of work, really. I feel like I have skills and I am good at that, and I will make money out of it, and I will use that money to fund the life I want. I will travel, I'll do whatever, but I'm not, I would not say at all that I'm passionate about, data science or marketing or something. Absolutely not. I will give me a good job, give me great targets, I'll achieve them. Bye. That's it. So I think these
Yeah.
two things really, really help put it into perspective, because that Head and Shoulders guy, I was like, oh, he was from one of the IIMs. And I said, so we were all thinking, Arey, but he's come from IIM, but he's not doing anything. And realized, no, he's actually doing the smart thing. He's doing the right
Yeah.
thing. And that is, like you said, that's how 90% of the world works. And also you have to, if you're given accountability for something like revenue coming in, so I
Yeah.
realized these things, there's revenue, there's profit and loss. You have to be smart. That is simply being guided by creativity is not your place. If you've been told that specifically, sure. But if you're Head and Shoulders, don't rock the boat. So
Yeah. And
these were some good lessons.
right. And also, like, it's important that you set the right expectations, right? Because if the expectations is that you're going to deliver something that's proven, and that's when you go in and say, like, oh, by the way, I have this wildly radical idea where, Shah Rukh's going to wear a clown costume and jump off an
Yes.
airplane. People are going to look at you weird. So, and I think those are the things that you kind of learn as you grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eh, So you seem like someone who, you know, has everything. You're always thinking of the next step. You have everything planned, or at least like when, like, for example, at Jamshedpur, you knew exactly, no, okay, I want to move out, and your parents helped you in that. Manipal, you're like, I want a big city experience, and you proactively shifted, journalism to advertisement in Mumbai to, okay, I do want to leave, and you said Singapore. Um, when you got to Singapore, what exactly did you do there, and how long did you do that for, and what was that experience like?
So I wanted to get another degree. So that would have to be another master's degree or an MBA. At that time, all the MBA degrees were 2 years. So I applied across like Europe and North America and Asia as well. So everything was 2 years. So I was trying to look for something that is 1 year, because I felt I've already worked. I'm going
Yeah.
on my own money. I want to minimize that and everything. So out of all the places I got through, I remember I got through Northwestern as well. For their marketing program. But just 1 year just the boarding was 60 lakhs. And I said, no, thank you. I will go
Yeah,
to
it's
Asia.
expensive.
So I
Northwestern
played it
especially.
practical. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I played it practical and safe. So I got through Singapore Management University. Their master's degree was 1 year. I said, great, I'm going there. That was an easy choice. So I
Yeah.
went there for my education, and then everybody was obviously trying to stay there. I managed, and I was there. I did 3 or 4 jobs there, and then in 2024,
okay.
I said, I'm coming back. Which is a
Yeah.
mixed feeling for me, but yeah, I'm here now.
What did you do there?
So after
Marketing
my
as well?
degrees, no,
Yeah.
like I feel like I was finally embracing that. Okay, I'm of a certain privilege, and I've seen certain things, and I want more. To work towards that, you need money. So I was like, I will
Yeah.
go and I will do that. So I started off in account management. So my whole experience of about 10, 11 years has been account management, sales sort of role. So that's my forte
Okay.
now. Yeah. So
Okay.
I did a lot of that in 4 different companies.
Okay, nice. Again, I'm telling you, the pivots are, I mean, that in itself is a kind of an important lesson to learn in life, right? Like, no one's telling you ki ek hi cheez karo. Like, start with whatever in the moment you think, okay, this is what I want to do. And if the signals aren't kind of right for you, you can always kind of start switching. So
Yeah.
for you went from journalism all the way to sales and account management. Were there other again, not specifically friends, but other people from India who moved there as well? And like, how was your kind of social life in Singapore? It is, again, I've visited Singapore. I have a family who live there. Um, it compared to a lot of places, that actually does, all Singapore is a big city.
One big city. Yeah.
Malls,
Lots of
you
malls.
got the malls, yeah, there. But also, and I haven't lived there. I went there for a week or 2 weeks, so I enjoyed my time there. But for me, living there, I felt like it's like you need to be a certain type of person to like that. Like, obviously, like, you can travel, you can go, and you can go outside of Singapore, go to the islands, and go to other places outside, enjoy nature that way. But in Singapore, it's very it's cosmopolitan, but it is just very urban, and you need a certain type of personality to really enjoy that. Did you take to that lifestyle immediately, or were there again growing pains?
I don't. I growing pains, not with the country, not really. I think again, I was
Okay.
very like how you said when you went to the US, you were just a person in the US, right? So same,
Yeah.
I was there too. Of course, there were moments of where people were racist. All that happens, but again, it was
Yeah.
nothing that I think we would not have experienced in India. So
Sure.
I was really okay, but I think I did embrace the life that I had. I got very lucky. I had a great social circle, fantastic set of friends, both Indian and cosmopolitan as well. So that helped like really, really broaden my circle. And
Yeah.
you're right to say that Singapore is a giant big city. There's so some people travel a lot between, or they're very transient with their lives between Singapore and Dubai. So we like to shit on each other. So it's the same thing you say about Dubai, right? Right? You have to be a certain kind of person, maybe. So we like to say, okay, Singapore has a bit more soul because there are lots of locals there. It isn't
Yeah.
just foreigners. And you're right
Foreigners.
There's limited things to do, but travel a lot, and we made the most of it. I picked up tennis. I played a lot of tennis.
Nice.
We went out a lot.
Food's
I
great.
think my friends and I, food's great. Yeah. So my friends and I
Yeah.
were out every weekend getting dinner and drinks, or just trying out a new
Nice.
bar or something. Or
Yeah.
also it's I think outside India, like you said in the beginning, people romanticize it a lot. They miss home. But I have to say there are so many pros. There are cons, so many pros. These are walkable places, right? So I walk
Yeah.
everywhere. I learned how to live on my own, which isn't something I was afraid of, but it was a great experience. Most of
Yeah.
us who came, they were like doing our dishes, doing up our houses, sort of thing, cleaning our houses. There's not much of it because it's very clean. It's extremely clean. There's no pollution almost. There's a lot of help. People are very, quite friendly. You can make friends with your neighbors.
Yeah.
Step in and help you and everything. So it was actually a good life. I was enjoying my time there. Minus if I have to begin with a list of cons, I think the biggest would be the weather. It's like Mumbai weather. It's hot and humid all the time.
Yeah, and it just rains almost every afternoon. At least
Yeah, yeah,
when I
yeah.
went to visit, I was like, har dopahr ko, like, it's almost like time
चार
dekhkar
3-4 बजे, हाँ,
3-4
yeah,
baje barish, and then it just like
correct,
disappears, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
you're
yeah. Then it's like
back
it
to
never
hot and
happened.
humid. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Uh, did you ever go to that casino thing that on
Once,
the?
yes, yeah,
You
MBS,
did?
yeah. So,
Yeah.
so I went. So I don't know how to play any card games, but a friend of mine, she's very passionate. So she used to keep asking her husband, and he never went. So she dragged me once. Like literally, we were all in their house hanging out, and she said, "No, you have to come with me now, and you have to get your passport there if you're not a citizen." So
Yeah.
we grabbed she made me go home. I got my passport. We went. And she taught me how to play, I think, blackjack. So I was just following instructions.
Okay. That's the
And
easiest one.
we were
Blackjack. Yeah.
you could say any word and tell me it's a card game. I would believe you. You could say blue suitcase, and I would be like, sure, blue suitcase, why not? So I was that person, but we really enjoyed. So there's always at like every 100 meters, there's a station with free Coke and free coffee. So we were just doing that mostly, to be honest. So I am the wrong person for that. But that was
Coca-Cola.
my only experience. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, the
Okay.
the soft
The
drink
beverage
beverage Coca-Cola.
Coke.
Yes.
I was just wanted to clarify,
Yeah.
uh,
Coca-Cola, Diet Coca-Cola, etc.
cola,
Coffee,
yes,
sugar, regular
coffee,
stuff.
sugar. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I went to Vegas a couple of years ago. Not my kind of place, but yeah, we were like you have those those buy-ins, like you buy into a table and you're
Yeah, yeah.
playing card
Hmm.
games, and people go there just for the drinks because they'll keep bringing you free
Yep,
drinks,
yep, yep.
and
Yes, yeah, yeah.
but then they want you to be there for as long as
Stay there.
possible to
Exactly,
spend
exactly.
and gamble
Yeah.
more. Um, so seemed like you had a lot of fun in Singapore, but as I said, you seems like you're always thinking ahead. Uh, what
Mm.
what was the, I guess, the whole journey of coming back to India? Like, was that a choice you made, or was that a choice made for you?
No, it was a choice I made. It was not easy. So it was a lot of things coming together. So it was that after COVID, I think a lot of economies struggled. Singapore was one of
Yeah.
them. They struggled with things like keeping foreign talent, and the locals were very vocal about, oh, we need the resources. Why aren't we getting, like, suddenly that conversation became too loud.
Ooh.
So
Oh,
so some
okay.
people, like even during COVID in Singapore, the airports were active only because so many people were being let go. So my friends and I all got lucky and we stayed, and our companies could fight for us and say, no, no, if they want to renew our visa, for example, they would fight the government saying, no, no, we need this person. Now it's become even harder. Like the government's making it very hard for companies to even fight back. So they're putting policies in place and everything. So I think post COVID,
Hmm.
a lot of my circle, once COVID went away and everything got back to normal, they either got laid off. A lot of them made very different life choices. Like people said, I want to go back to my home country. People who either were starting families, trying to have kids. So they made those choices. So it was a lot of that. Like my friend circle did start getting smaller and smaller. And there was also a lot of us felt like, we're at the mercy of a visa. Like we can't even change jobs so easily now
Yeah.
because you have to be sponsored by a visa, right? So that was there. It was not a great feeling. So you're tied down to your job. You either at some point you hope you don't get laid off, and then so it was also I think the policies then felt also largely very unwelcome for foreigners. I think it was by design, and I have no opinion on that. I think it's fair that a country looks after its own citizens first. So
Yeah.
that is a different matter. But yeah, it did feel as a foreigner very unwelcome. Like you're given 30 days to find another job. Obviously, you're not going to get anything in 30 days. And if you're at a
Yeah.
certain salary level, a lot of companies will say, no, no, we don't want to pay you that much. So you either accept something very low or something. Not to say that a lot of people still aren't getting jobs. They are, a lot of foreigners. But yeah, it was that feeling of being unwelcome. It was that my social circle was like coming down and everything. So I think I started to evaluate a lot of things. And I started to think that, and even in my job personally, I felt like maybe I had hit a plateau. So I felt,
Okay.
okay, if I it's not the worst thing in the world to cut my losses short, essentially, because I think a lot of us kept feeling that either we are tied down to this job for a while, our companies do need us and they will keep fighting for us, but this is it, sort of thing. And there's the fact that uh, you know you are always fearful of being laid off. That's not a great feeling. So a lot of
Hmm.
people in my life started making those choices. They started migrating, either going back home or moving to other countries. Lots of people moved to Australia nearby. So that was there. So I think that this was a choice I was dreading for a while, but I had to sort of figure it out and act on it. So about 6-8 months before I left, I started thinking, okay, maybe this is the thing. And like I said, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world. I can come back.
Yeah.
These are cyclical things, right? Economies
Yeah.
get bad, they get better. And also countries like Singapore will keep needing foreign talent. I can go there. I can go to an Australia. I can go somewhere if I really
Well,
want
now
to.
you have
So I thought,
experience as well of
correct.
having worked in a firm in Singapore. Yeah.
Correct. So that's in my CV. That's going to be there forever. It's invaluable. And I thought, let me go to India. The economy there is booming as well. I'm sure I can get something where I have a big portfolio to handle, where I have clients with big names and everything, and I can be safe. I can feel like if something's not working out for me, I can leave that job, for example.
Sure.
And yeah, so wasn't an easy choice, but I figured, okay, I have to do this, unfortunately. So yeah, worked
Yeah.
towards it, came back
Nice. Nice. So where are
with an
you
insane
based
amount of
out of?
luggage. So,
Yeah. I mean,
I'm sorry, I'm in Bangalore now.
okay. Yeah. Okay. So still, I mean, Singapore to Bangalore, you probably are dealing with a bigger mass of people and things happening. Um, wouldn't really feel like a step down. It probably would feel like a step up in terms of like lifestyle. Because yeah, Bangalore lifestyle is again,
That's good.
it's so yeah. Again, it's romanticized to a certain extent because it's the same thing, right? Like you're going out, you're partying, you're this, that, you're stuck in traffic, but then you're also, it just feels like a lot is happening all the time.
Yeah, so classic big city stuff. So whether it's
Yeah.
Mumbai, Singapore, Bangalore, lots going on. But I think Bangalore was the choice was easy because my brother and my sister-in-law live here. So I have family, my best friends here,
Oh,
and
okay,
some of my
nice.
friends from college are here. So I felt like I won't feel like feel like, I have nothing. I won't feel like my support circle or my social circle has left me. I will just move and transition seamlessly into a new one. So it felt
Sure.
like that, and it has been like that.
Yeah.
A very close cousin is here as well. So there are people to, for me to hang out with, for me to go to, etc., for me to keep meeting. Yeah, so it's not so bad. There are obviously
Yeah.
changes, but it's nothing I wasn't prepared for, or nothing I didn't know. Like if someone says,
Right.
"Oh, but the pollution, the dirt," I mean, I knew. You know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And also, you had a little bit of experience living in Karnataka already. I know Bangalore
yeah,
is
yeah,
very different than the rest of Karnataka, but still, like,
yeah,
I'm sure the 5, 6 words that you learned then
yeah, yeah.
came
I
in
do remember
use.
them still. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
No, that's awesome. Would you want to put roots down in Bangalore? Have you given that thought, like where, if you ever want to, where you want to put roots down? Or are you someone who's like, I would like to put smaller roots down in multiple places and try to always be on the lookout for the next pivot or the next change?
Actually, this is a good question, and obviously, the more you get older, you start thinking. I don't think I have an answer, honestly, but also I
Okay.
think it would be the latter because I'm used to moving. Since I was 18, I've been
Yeah.
just moving. So that is my frame. Like Singapore was my longest, geographical relationship. So I was there for so long. But even then, in all my 9, 10 years, I remember thinking always, what's next? Even though
Yeah.
I had a lot going on, right? Like amazing set of friends and everything. My life was there. My finances were there. Everything was there. Everything I knew was there. My hobbies were there. I remember kept thinking, okay, what's next? So I don't know where I don't have an answer to it. There's one place about roots. I think
Mm,
it's very circumstantial. Um,
sure.
like who do you want to put your roots down with? Where are they? What do you want to do, etc. So I
Yeah.
think it's circumstantial for me.
Yeah. Do you find it easy moving now that you have moved so many times?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did it get
I
easier
it's
over
and
time?
Yeah, I think I just got sort of, it was a very mechanical thing for me in my head. Like even now, I finally found an apartment. So I've moved into it. So it's very mechanical for me. Like, you have to pack, you have to come home, you have to open the boxes to set things, and you have to start ordering things on an Amazon and IKEA, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Or have to go look at furniture. So it's very, very mechanical. Like I open my phone, I have lists that I tick off every day. Okay, you have to call the carpenter, you have to get this done. So I think I approach it very, very mechanically. I think earlier I used to be very upset कि आज क्यों नहीं हुआ, मेरा घर आज क्यों नहीं
Mm.
set हुआ, why didn't I throw a housewarming party this weekend only? So
Uh,
I take it easy now. I'm very much हाँ जब होगा do it, take it easy, जब होगा तब होगा, you figure it out. Nobody's running away anywhere. It's fine.
yeah.
So yeah, it's very mechanical for me. It's not. I don't see it as particularly difficult or hard. Sorry, difficult
Okay.
or easy.
Yeah. And I ask this question to everyone. And this is especially I'm interested in hearing your answer to this, being someone who is so mechanical with moving and who's used to moving so much. How has the concept of home changed for you since you left home? What you would call home in the past?
I think home will always be Jamshedpur. But in between, so my parents were considering relocating to Kolkata, and they
Okay.
were only considering. They didn't do it, but their reason was that you guys should have like a major airport to come home
Yeah.
to and everything. But we said, but this is all your friends are here, right? It's important at any age to have a good circle around yourself. So
Yeah.
you don't have to relocate. We will keep coming home. Don't worry. So
Yeah.
so they. So I think that made me realize even if they move, like I think home will be wherever my parents are. They could be
Okay.
in Kolkata, they could be in Sydney, they could be in wherever. I feel like home would be wherever they are.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good answer.
Because I have
I've
to go
heard.
home to them. Yeah, sorry to cut
Yeah.
you. But yeah,
No, no, you're fine.
it's like, it's like when I think of home, I think of, oh, there's my own bed, and but it's also things like, having the comfort of your family. Like my parents don't bother waking me up till I wake up. They'll just say, oh, what do you want for food? So it's that feeling of, sometimes on Saturday they'll say, oh, do you want to play Ludo? Do you want to go out for coffee? Should we get dinner somewhere outside? It's that sort of thing. Should we, is there a movie coming out that we can get? Can we watch something together at home? Should we get popcorn from Blinkit? That's so it's that feeling that I've come home to since I left at 18.
Yeah.
So and that Kolkata thing made me realize it's wherever they are, they will make that feeling for me.
Yeah. No, that's so basically wherever you get khaterdari done, that
Yes,
is
absolutely.
home. Yes.
Absolutely.
But that's how it should be, right? For me, it's the same thing. I'm quite conflicted on this, as I said, because in my mind, it's like I have my extended family in Pune still,
Mm,
so I get pampered when I go there. But my parents
yeah.
live here, so naturally,
Mm,
you know, their house here is also
yeah,
home. So
yeah,
I like asking that question to everybody because everybody has a different take on it.
yeah,
Some people say home is, as you said, where people are. Some people say home is where it's like the location itself.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's always interesting listening to their answers.
My parents also,
Awesome.
in between when I was in
Yeah.
Singapore, so I used to say, so if they ever hear that I'm outside, whatever time it is,
Yeah.
they say, "Oh, you're outside, have fun, call us tomorrow or something." So I remember sometimes saying, "Yeah, don't worry, I'll get home in an hour, I'll call you." And I forget which parent of mine, but one of them said, "No, no, home is here for you."
Home is
I said, "But this is also my house, this is also my apartment, I have to call it home." So I had to start saying, "Okay,
uh,
Jamshedpur home, okay."
yeah, I cannot tell. It's like we have the same parents because my mom says the same thing. When I went to, it's like after college, I told her ki, I'm gonna start working. The job is like an hour and a half drive for me. I need to move closer to work. So I got an apartment. First of all, she was like, "Why do you want to move?" Like all the Indians, all the boys and girls live at home after college. You don't need to move, save on blah blah, all of that. And then we used for a long time it was the same thing. It's like, oh yeah, I just got home. It's like home. This is home. It's like no. I had to give a signifier before home, like
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
home, this yeah,
That home,
uh,
yeah.
yeah. Awesome, Anviti. Thanks so much for sharing your story. It was so nice talking to you.
Likewise.
I mean, I'm definitely inspired because you seem like the person who's not afraid to make changes and follow through with those whenever you see fit. So uh, I definitely was in a position recently where I got very complacent and that caused issues. So I'm kind of looking at that aspect of life through different lenses. And yeah, this conversation definitely helped me. And I'm sure someone who's watching might be in a similar place in life that you were. If there was like one piece of advice you wanted to just throw out into the world, I know this is,
I am
you
not
know,
qualified enough
you're
for
not,
that.
but just like, just one thing that you're like, this is something I did and something you guys should also look into.
You said advice and my mind. So I was in therapy for a while. That helped too. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, what would my therapist? Then I was like, no, I can't think of my therapist. But I think, I think one thing that has helped me in general is to not, treat things that happen immediately. Like something bad happens, I used to be like, oh, like, everything's gone to shit.
Yeah.
I'm never going to, like that meme, I'm never going to recover from this. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it was like that. So I think what my therapist helped me see was regardless of whether it's work, it's personal life, whatever it is, it's everything. She said, think of a time 3 or 4 years ago. Right. I'm sure you don't even remember, but there must have been so many times when you said, oh, everything's gone to shit. Yet here you are. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
So I think it takes time, but I've gotten into the mindset of anything bad happens, I just say, "ठीक है यार, no one's dead, no, it's fine, हो जाएगा, कोई
It's
बात
fine,
नहीं."
huh?
So I think it's hard, but it's important to take things. I know it's very wishy-washy advice, like oh, I'm depressed. Oh, be happy while you're depressed. So I know it
Yeah.
sounds like that, but maybe if it's possible for anyone, just try to be like, ठीक है, if something bad happened, tomorrow is a new day. Try again tomorrow. It's not the end. We have like 50, 60 years more to live. It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah. It's not wishy-washy because it is the most real way of looking at life, कि खाना मिल रहा है, घर है, कपड़े
Hmm.
हैं,
Huh.
you don't have a life-threatening disease that you just found out
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
You're doing better than a lot of people. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's one way of looking at it,
For sure.
definitely. Yeah. Awesome, Anviti. Thanks so much for joining, and we will
Thank you for
stay in
having me.
touch. If anyone has any questions, any shikayatein, but if anything's inspired you, you have further clarifications you want or anything, reach out to me, or you can reach out to Anviti as well. But yeah, thanks so much for the conversation, and we'll talk again.
Yeah. Thanks so much. I enjoyed myself too.
Awesome. See ya.